Hey guys, welcome back to our Porsche restoration project. Over the next couple videos, we're going to be installing the finished carpet kit on the interior of our project. So we just finished up our sound deadening material on the inside of our car. Hopefully everything's where it needs to be. We may have to do a little trimming depending how our new kit overlays the top of it. Also, one thing to keep in mind while watching the next couple videos, a lot of ways to install carpet in a car. What you're going to see here is just one way. It's not the only way. A lot of different underlayments you can use, different contact adhesives you can use. And so this is just one way to do it. And hopefully there might be some tips in here, some techniques you can use on your restoration. So what I've done is I pulled the original carpet kit out of this car, which I have laid out on the shop floor out there, side by side with our new replacement kit that I've had custom made up by Autos International. Real nice replacement kit, accurate in every detail, and real high quality material. Even though it doesn't look like there would be much difference between the original and what might be on the aftermarket. A lot of what's going to define quality is how the carpet stretches, pulls, and is able to overlay outside radiuses, inside radiuses, and you're going to need to stretch it out to get it to conform to those surfaces to get a real nice fit in. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we got laid out on the shop floor out there, compare the two side by side. Then we'll come on out here and get this thing started.
Okay, so let's take a look and see what we got laid out on the floor here. So up front is our original carpet kit that came out of the car. And then in the rear here we have our new replacement carpet kit. And this was made up by Autos International out of Escondido, California. I'm going to go ahead and post a link below. Really recommend these guys if you have any kind of Porsche work, carpets, interior work that needs to be done to your cars. These guys are really great to work with. And also their patterns that they cut out here. These patterns are for this year and model, and they do vary a little bit in the early years as to what needs to happen with the carpets as far as trim and bordering. So not all carpet kits really are correct depending on what year you are and what your serial number is on your car. However, this particular kit here, this is an exact match for the one that came out here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the new kit and we're going to overlay it, or vice versa, and use these older ones as templates. And you can see there are specific areas where we have to punch holes in them and also put relief cuts. Also with this older kit, a lot of information here you wouldn't think would be useful, but very useful in the way it assembles and goes back together. You'll be able to see where the glue needs to be, what piece overlaps what piece, and the proper order to put it back together. And then another material we're going to be working with, depending on where we'll need it, need a little extra filler or padding under our carpet here. This is a 1/4 inch jute padding. Got this off of eBay. This particular piece here is 1 yard by 3 yards. And then a close-up look here at the two different kinds of contact cement we'll be using. And both of these are high temperature resistant contacts. Alright, so there's everything in a bird's eye view. Let's go ahead and head out to the car and get her started. So the first thing I'm doing here, I'm just doing kind of a combination mock-up with our old patterns laid down in there. Also how they integrate with our newer footwell carpets. So what I'm trying to find out is what's going to be the best way to cut our jute padding to go underneath the footwell area. So it looks like if I use my templates that we use from our sound deadening, the same templates, I can go ahead and use those, overlay our jute padding, and cut that first. We're going to go ahead and tuck that underneath this carpet here. We're going to tuck under there, and then this side carpet will sit down on top of it, and then this one will sit down on top of that area. You can see the old stains there, how it used to be. And then also I've got my rear seat original pad set up in there. I think I'm going to put a little jute padding on our tunnel hump there and see how that works with our seats integrated down into it. So let me go ahead and cut the footwell pads, set them in there, and we'll take a look at that. So just having a quick look at our templates laid over our jute padding here. This is going to work the best to get the most material out of our cutting here. And so what I'm doing is I'm just taking these long straight edge here of our roll. I'm going to use that as the tunnel edge, mark everything else with a Sharpie, and just cut it out with a pair of scissors. This long straight edge right here, this is going to go right up against the tunnel. Okay, so we got our jute padding sitting down in there. Looks like our templates worked out real good for us. Nice straight line on our tunnel there. And up front here, everything fitting like it should. And then coming around the back here, seeing everything's fitting in there real nice. I'm going to put a link to these guys who supplied me with this jute padding down below. Real nice quality jute pad. It's 1/4 inch. What I like about it, it cuts really nice. Also, it conforms. You can see how it really compresses down in there and holds its shape to whatever you've got going on inside the car. So whatever you need to fit to, seems like that's going to work out real nice. And then also I mocked up our back end area here. I was hoping we could get a little jute padding under there, but that's just going to be too thick. I can see that on our mock-up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch foam for padding over that hump there. Originally from the factory they had some foam under there, so I can see why they went with that. That should give us a little insulation there and still be able to draw everything up nice and tight. Alright, so we got our 1/4 inch foam stuck down. This also was supplied to me by Autos International. You can see it's just a standard 1/4 inch. They supplied me with a couple of different thicknesses and different types of foam density depending on what I was wanting to work with. So this is going to work out real good for here. And so what I've done to stick this down, I've just taken the outside edge here, about 2-inch belt all the way around this thing, and contacted it down. I've left the center slipping here. So the reason I haven't contacted this center, sometimes if you have too much contact cement on something, you can get what's called dimpling. So if the backside is 100% contacted and I press it out, it may retain that shape there. Also, for the carpet to be stretched over here, it really needs to slip and to move around also. So we'll go ahead and stick that down on the outside here, nice and tight with our contact cement, and then have the center here able to expand and contract. And then setting up our contact cement for working with, what I like to do, I like to pour out my spray grade contact into a quart cup here, and then use a lid, poke a hole in it. This works out really good for keeping your brush in good shape and stopping things from evaporating while you're working with it. Some guys like to spray out their projects. I'm not really a big fan of it, a little bit messy, and I think if you brush a spray grade contact, you can actually get more positive results from it. In other words, it has a little bit more adhesion qualities to it than an aerated spray, so it will stick really, really good. So this is one way you can set your brush up and contact cement to stop it from evaporating and keep your brush in really good shape. Okay, so back to our padding. So what I want to do, just making a couple templates here to finish up our tunnel area. What I want to do is I want to put 1/4 inch foam on the rear here and stretch over the top of that. And then also I want to do a 1/4 inch jute padding on the top here. And that should help out with the transition dropping down from our shifter cover plate there right down to the tunnel. Should take out some of those bags and give it a little bit of fill in there. Let's go ahead and cut those out, see what they look like. So we got our patterns cut here. It looks like that's going to work out okay. So what I'm trying to do here, the carpet's going to stretch around that ring there, around the shifter ball. And then it's going to drop down to the sides of our tunnel here. And this whole area in here is going to be just kind of open and stretched out quite a bit. I've seen some of the carpet installations pulled down over that. You get some lines in it. So hopefully this will help eliminate that. Won't really know until we get it going there. I think that should help. And then also a little bit of foam in the rear here. That should give us a little bit of padding back there. Okay, let's get the contact going and glue them down. Alright, so just getting her brushed out here. Trying to hold the camera and work the brush at the same time. Doesn't seem like my tripod wants to work very well at ground level. So we're not putting tons and tons on here, just enough so we get adhesion. And once it's stuck down there, shouldn't have any problems with it coming back up. And then we're going to stay back from this edge here. From here forward, this is the access hole for our accelerator pedal and all the linkage in here. So we'll just leave this area serviceable. If we need to get at it later, we can just pull that up. And then brushing out our tunnel. That should be plenty on there. And then two other areas we're going to want to do at this time. Right on the center here, this center area where it transitions from the front of the footwell to the rear of the footwell. We're going to want to go ahead and tack our carpet right there. We'll just brush that out. And we'll get that stuck down now because we're going to overlay it with our finished carpet. Also, a trick with working with contact cement is when you're brushing it out, you just want to move quickly. Just put it on and stop. You don't want to keep going back over it because once it starts setting up, which is only a few seconds, if you go back over it, it'll start pulling it back up again. Okay, so we got our tunnel brushed out here, and then our footwells. Okay, let's let that dry about 10 minutes and we'll stick her down. Okay, starting off, we just want to be gently placing it, not pressing anything down until we like its position. Once we like everything, looks like it's all going to fit. And we'll go ahead and press her out. Alright, and then sticking our footwells down, so we just want to make sure we're seated in the rear. Everything's tucked in real good there. And then we're just gently going to pull it over. And working from the back to the front. Okay. Okay, so we're stuck down there. Also, the front of these footwells, these are going to be held down by our wooden foot plates. They get bolted to the floor, which holds the front. Tack in the center here, that's just going to stop that from moving around. And then we'll just put a little adhesive in the rear there. Basically, we want these, so if we have to get these up at some other date and time for whatever reason, we can get them up. Okay, and then I think you kind of get the idea on the contact cementing there. Let me go ahead and brush this out, stick these down, and then we can get some finished carpet going. So we're all brushed out here. And back here. And then also here's how much I'm putting down for our rear areas here. Just a little bit on there. Alright, so we've got all our padding stuck down now, going down the center of our car. Also our footwells are all stuck down and in place. One thing I just wanted to note here, I'm putting padding on the top of this tunnel here, only because I just think a little extra padding wherever you can put it never hurts. But it wasn't done from the factory. They never had any padding, at least on this car, in the top tunnel area here. Although I've referenced a lot of pictures online from some of these early cars, 911s, 912s, from 65 on up to like early 70s, and they were experimenting around quite a bit with sound deadening, and one car might have something the other car might not have, so just kind of doing it here best way I see fit. Okay, let's get the carpet going, stick her down. Okay, so the first piece we're going to start with here is going to be this rear tunnel section. You can see by the indents here that was pressed down in there, so I'll be contacting underneath this area here, and then you can see back in this area here, it looked like it was stuck down inside that little relief in there. We'll get some glue in there, and then also backside of our carpet here, this was stuck down the tunnel side and then underneath here. That one's really not too complicated. Let me go ahead and get the new one set up with relief cuts and contact spread out, and then we'll see how that fits. So I'm just getting ready to brush this piece out here. I don't know if this camera can show you in close enough detail, but there's definitely a front and a back to this purlin, Gotta really look close at it, make sure you're getting the right side. Doesn't really look like it's showing up too well on our camera, even though we're really detailed here. But you can see a little bit on this side here. Looks a little bit more properly patterned, and on the back side, more of a mesh pattern there. So yeah, at a glimpse it looks the same, but it's really something you got to be looking out for. And then looks like we're just going to contact 100% on the back side of this guy here. Let me just go ahead and brush that out and see what it looks like. So we're all brushed out on this piece, even though very, very hard to see the contact. It's definitely in there. Double coated this edge here where it's going to stick down to our tunnel access. A little extra adhesion in there. And stayed away from the center area where our foam is. And then back here I've got plenty tucked back in that pocket back in there, coming down the side here, but staying away from our bull nose and the foam area, because I want to be able to pull and stretch over this area here, and then down on the inside lip, making sure I've got plenty of contact going around, trying to stay away from our speed nuts. And then coming down over the top of our foam here, I haven't put anything on that so that we can stretch and pull as tight as we want, and then stick it to this area right here behind the handbrake. Okay, here we go. So getting her in position first. Alright, so we got our first piece put in place there. That went pretty smooth. Real nice quality carpet to work with. Stretches out real nice, and then also, even though you can't see that contact cement, it's in there and sticks down really well. See if I can show you. It's hard to tell with all this purline activity going on here, but you can see the inside indent there as it's coming down into our tunnel. And then we're stretched really tight coming over this edge here. No bags, no loose carpeting there. And then coming across the top here, we got a nice puffy padded top area that stretches tight right down to the base there. And that's how it finishes off. And then our top carpet, this will run right over the top, right into it. Make a nice little transition right there. So looking at the back side of our next piece then, not a whole lot of contact cement was used on this one, but we will put it down the sides here, because this is really where we can pull, stretch, and stick it to the side of the tunnel. We'll put a good 3-inch belt on there, and then a little bit right in this handbrake area right here, so we can pull and stretch on that. And then on the inside here, I'm just going to run contact cement down the sides here, keeping it below our bull nose. Nothing over here, because we want to stretch and pull over here, and it'll start its sticking point right there. Put a little contact in this area and in this area here, and then nothing on the back here. We just let that lay on top, and then it'll probably overlap here to some degree. Okay, let me go ahead and get that brushed out on both pieces and I'll stick her down. So I've gone ahead and added one more piece of padding right over the top of our cover plate here. That's just setting on there. I think what that's going to do for us, it's just going to help out our transition when we stretch our carpet over this area here. It should help out with a little bit of fill in there. And then also you can see where we've brushed our contact right along this edge in here, a little bit up onto our rear carpet there. And then just down on the side, staying down slightly from our bull nose all the way forward on both sides. Okay, let's get that carpet, set her on there. Okay, so I've got everything centered up here. So I'm just going to pull equally on both sides. Stretch and tack. And then from the front point here, I'm going to pull this way and this way at the same time. And just tack it. Alright, that looks like that's going to work. Alright, well that went pretty smooth. Let's just take a look on both sides here and see how she details out. So coming from the front to the rear here, we just have one butt joint here, and that was already pre-cut from our carpet kit to that size. I had to do a little bit of trimming in this area right here with a utility knife to make a little bit of room for our seat rails. And then our overlap here, this actually was overlapped from the factory. In a situation like this, you could just cut through both layers and make a perfect transition butt joint there. But with this handbrake wire going through there, not a good idea. So that's why they did that. Also easy to pull up if we need to service that handbrake. And then looking at our driver's side, so same thing here, just running a utility knife down the inside edge there just to make sure we got room for our seat rails. And all this pulled over real nice, just like I was hoping. And we're sitting nice and tight up against the tunnel side here, stuck down really well. And then up here by the pedals, one thing we just want to look out for, make sure we don't have any excess carpet running into our throttle linkage there. Right now we're tight right up against the metal edge there, so we're okay. And then a little dark in here, but that's how that finishes out and sticks down up there. So looking at our shifter boot here, this is the original shifter boot that came out of the car. Look at that. That's amazing, 50 years old. Perfect condition, but if you look at it, you can see it actually has a little bit of a list to one side. So the profile on the right side is different from the profile on the left side. And from the pictures I could decipher, the correct way to put this in position is the lean should be towards the driver's side as it goes down over the shifter. Let's go ahead and slide that on there and see what that looks like. Alright, that just slides down tight onto our carpet right on top here, and then you can see the correct position leaning to the driver's side there. Okay guys, so I think we're starting to make some good progress here. However, still got quite a ways to go with our pad and carpet installation. Running down the sides and then also this back area. Let's just go ahead for today. We'll do one more last quickie piece here in the rear, get that stuck down, and then we'll call it good for this video and pick up the rest on part 2. So having a look at our contact area on our tunnel piece here. And then also I've trimmed back some of the foam here, and the reason I'm doing that, just so I have a little bit bigger footprint of our carpet sticking down point here. Because when we pull and stretch and stick, we're going to have better adhesion on our Dynamat and holding power than we're going to have on our foam here. So we want to make sure all the way around we have something that we can pull and stick down to. And here's our contact area on the back side of our carpet. You can see the outline in red there running about 2.5 to 3 inch band on the outside edge, and on the front edge here running about 5 inches of contact. That's going to be pulled and wrapping over the front of the tunnel. Alright, here we go. Alright, well that worked out real nice, and was able to conform to our shape really well. We're stuck down nice and tight where we need to be, and also got some nice puff in there and stretched really tight. Okay guys, so I think we're going to stop here for today and pick up the rest of this on part 2. Also, I'm going to put together a couple links below, one for our jute padding, you can buy that on eBay, and then also a link for Autos International. So if you're looking for a real high quality carpet kit or any kind of interior materials or interior work for your Porsche, definitely give these guys a call. Real great company to work with, and high quality materials, and anything you need, they can hook you up. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.